I'd love to know from both of you the one thing that's either been said about him or written about him that has hurt you or angered you the most.
It hurts sometimes more, I think, as a family member when they attack somebody that you love more than it hurts when they attack you.
Yeah,
I have to say, though, Aaron, we became numb to it very quickly. My father sat us down very early on, and he goes, "Kids, I'm gonna run for president." And he said two really insightful things. First of all, we're gonna know who our friends are, and B, we're gonna get hit in ways you can't even comprehend. You just wait, and it was unbelievable kind of foresight. I mean, that intuition was amazing. I mean, he predicted a lot of what was going to happen, and we didn't necessarily know how, but he predicted that we were going to get hit. And shortly after him coming down that escalator, we quickly became numb to the attacks. I mean, I'm a guy who's never gotten a speeding ticket, and I got 110 subpoenas by Congress, and every Democratic senator. I mean, they wanted to make our lives hell. It was illegal, lawfare. They started putting us through it. I mean, we got parodied by every single. I mean, I'm running one of the biggest real estate companies on planet Earth, building some of the greatest hotels around the place, and we were parodied on shows like Saturday Night Live as if we were idiots, playing with fidget spinners, and they did everything they could to demean us, to undermine us, to try and laugh at us. And honestly, I'm not saying this is a good thing. Maybe I'm not even proud of it, but it makes you emotionally numb to nonsense. And maybe it is a good thing, because I think you actually focus on kind of the mission at hand, and you can wipe out a lot of the nonsense. But people come up to us all the time. How do you handle it? And how do you handle the constant attacks? How do you handle the legal lawfare? And you wake up and you just punch back. And that's been the last 10 years of our life, just punching back. And I think America's really respected that. I think the whole world has respected that. And, Laura touched on this a second ago, but I think maybe his greatest attribute. Sometimes you think about what you want written on your tombstone when you're gone, and I think 10 years ago would have been great builder, great developer, guy who redefined skylines.
You're fired.
Maybe you're fired. I think today it's somebody who's just relentless in the pursuit of whatever they put their eyes on, but also an unbelievable fighter, an unbelievable champion, a person who never backs down, no matter how great the adversity. You had the famous Dana White, who runs the UFC, and I know Australia loves UFC, and he's been there many times. But he goes, "Listen, I'm in the tough guy business, and I've never seen a tougher guy. I've never seen a greater fighter." And I truly believe that in my heart. I mean, no one could have gone through what Donald Trump went through, and very few people could have gone through the attacks. For every 1% that you report on TV, there's 99% in the background that you'll never see. And we wake up every day, and we keep on fighting. And we've done so very effectively. And, I think the greatest, he wrote 2 books, The Art of the Deal and The Art of the Comeback. I think the greatest comeback will be this November when he wins the election for the second time.
It's yet to come, the greatest comeback. What hurts you the most that people say, or are you similar to Eric in that you actually don't really absorb any of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough learning curve for me on this, because I don't come from a background of a famous last name. And Eric and I got married only really like 6 months before my father-in-law entered politics. So we got a very short period of time of some normalcy, like what's really normal when you're marrying into the Trump family. But
we stayed married. That's a good start.
Yeah, well, so we'll take that.
Honey, we're extremely normal. Come on, please.
We'll take it. But initially, it was very hard for me to see the things said about him, and then said about us. Because they attack us, they lie about us. One of the most upsetting things for me, honestly, has to do with Eric. Eric, at 22 years old, when most kids were out partying and having a good time, decided life had been so great to him, he wanted to give back, and he started a charity for the most deadly childhood diseases in the world and cancers, and he raised money for St. Jude Children's Hospital, which is the absolute best in the world at what they do. Had the lowest expense ratio of any private charity in America. And I've seen Eric negotiate multiple business deals over the 16 years we've been together. I've never seen him work harder than to get pennies off of a dollar, because he knew that money would go to the kids of St. Jude. And then to see how quickly, once politics became part of our life, people attacked him and just flat out lied about him with this. They still do it. They still post it on all of our social media. It's sick, and it is hurtful. And I might not be as easy, it might not be as easy for me to block out as it is for Eric, but I think what you ultimately find is that you realize the people who actually know you are the ones who really matter, and you have to block out all the rest. And then I think really you kind of use the haters, Aaron, as fuel. Like sometimes that's a drive. You know, they might think that they're deterring us from doing something. In fact, you are actually adding to my want to achieve whatever it is, and my drive to achieve whatever that is. So it's actually probably had the inverse effect. And I think we've had to have that realization and adapt in that way. Otherwise, how do you survive in an environment like this? So it took me a little longer, but ultimately, look, we're so blessed. We have an incredible family. We have great friends, true people around us who love us because they know us. And you very quickly have to realize that anyone outside of that really doesn't matter.
It's almost like sport. I was a sports host for 10, 15 years before I moved into this space, and I know you were very athletic at school, and it's that kind of motivation when a player, you know, what do you guys call it here? Like, we call it like talk, or like,
trash talk.
Trash
Yeah, you're trash talking.
Alliteration, exactly.
I like your way more.
Yeah. And then it kind of motivates you.